Puff the Magic Dragon, read by Adad. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you go brush your teeth and make sure you floss too. I can tell you here and you don't have to do it, but it's only going to hurt yourself, not me. So why don't you pause this and go get it done and come back and I'm ready to read the book. All set? Okay. Puff the Magic Dragon, Chapter 1. Jackie Draper, meet Jackie Paper. Once, quite by chance, there was an extraordinary old universe, and it was filled with matter and magnificence, with worlds and wonder, with moons and magic. And moving through this universe was a familiar old world of cities and streets, of trees and cars. There, in an ordinary house, on an ordinary chair, was an ordinary boy. And in this boy's head was locked an untold story, which was extraordinary as anything in the universe had ever seen or heard before. The boy sat quietly, surrounded by his mother, his father, and 3 learned doctors. The doctors turned to the boy's parents grimly, and the tallest one of them all spoke. "We have concluded our consultation and find that your son will not, nor cannot, speak, communicate, nor relate in any way to the world around him." "But doctors, we know that," said the father sadly. "He hasn't said a word for such a long time." "Can't you give us some hope that we'll someday be able to speak again?" pleaded the little boy's mother. The tall doctor cut her off with a wave of his hand. "Alas, this case is hopeless." The mother and father looked at each other sorrowfully, and followed the doctors out of the room, closing the door softly behind them. The boy's name was Jackie Draper. He was only 8 years old, but magnificent things were about to happen to him. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Jackie Draper seemed to hear that song deep inside his heart, and at that very moment a large face passed by outside his window. It was all green, with dark green eyebrows, strands of greener hair, and friendly green chin whiskers down below. The face was there for just an instant, and then it was gone. Suddenly, it popped back into view. It smiled, and it looked around the room. "I beg your pardon," said Puff. He was trying to start a proper conversation. "Could you tell me if you just saw a dragon pass by?" Jackie sat still and silent. "I could swear I saw one. Most unusual nowadays," continued Puff, searching Jackie's room all over with his eyes. He spied his own reflection in the mirror above Jackie's bureau. "Ah, I did see one. It's me." The boy didn't reply, but merely just blinked his sad little eyes. "May I consider that blink an invitation?" chuckled Puff. Without waiting for a reply, he began to climb through the window, which was really much, much too small to admit a full-grown dragon. "I shall have to just make myself smaller to fit. No trouble. Just magic." There was a tinkling like a sound of silver bells, and in an instant was Puff, the size of a large friendly dog. He easily climbed through the room, putting down his battered old satchel, and smiled at the boy. "I've come to help you, Jackie. To help you help yourself." Jackie Draper managed to make a tiny little heartfelt smile. Puff opened his satchel. Magical sparkles flew out like a giddy June bug in July. He searched for something in his bag, tossing out various objects that were common to him but totally wondrous to Jackie. There was a famous glass slipper, Alice's mushroom, and Peter's shadow, a gold spun from straw, and a little yellow brick or two. Finally, he found a large piece of a construction paper, a crayon, and a pair of scissors. Going about his magical business in a way both magical and businesslike, he tackled the construction paper to the wall. Then, using the crayon, which could color every hue and shade of the rainbow, he began to draw a picture of little Jackie. As he worked, he chattered cheerfully. I'm one of the few dragons ever to have a song of my own, you know. That is because instead of destroying things, I like to muddle through. Ah, splendid. Likeness of you, Jackie, if I do say so myself. Using the scissors, he snipped the crayon drawing of Jackie Draper free from the rest of the construction paper and brought it over to the boy. Jackie Draper, meet Jackie Paper, said Puff, introducing the real boy to the little cutout. Now, Jackie Draper, I'm going to borrow the living thing from inside of you and place it inside of Jackie Paper. The little boy's smile froze, and Puff realized he had frightened him. You wonder what a living thing is? Asked Puff quietly. Let me explain. It is that which causes you to laugh and cry, to hurt and to care. It is that which makes apples crunchy and tells your nose to tingle on a crystal winter's morning. Then he leaned down and whispered gently, It's kept in your left ear, you know. He puffed some bright, colorly smoke into Jackie's right ear. The smoke billowed out of his left ear, carrying with it the shadowy outline of a small little boy. Puff took the fragile, living thing by the hand and rushed it over to Jackie Paper, chattering, Quick! Mustn't catch cold! With a gentle shove, he pushed it into Jackie Paper, the cutout. The cutout child suddenly took on rounded form and came to life. He blinked, took a breath, and spoke. Am I all better? Asked Jackie Paper. Puff chuckled playfully. Oh, we'll see. To be truly better, you must make a journey with me. Impossible for Jackie Draper, but not Jackie Paper. He can go anywhere, so long as it's magic. Now come along. He held out his paw. Jackie pulled back, worried. But where are we going, Puff? Ha ha ha! That's a good question, Jackie. We are going to Hanalei. What's Hanalei? Asked Jackie. My kingdom by the sea. Well, not exactly a kingdom, he boomed, in a great big voice. It's more like a kingdom. A kingdom, squeaked the tiny little baby voice. A few acres and independence. But it's rather magical. Let me show you. He blew a colored ring of dragon smoke, which Jackie looked through, as one might look through an enchanted porthole. Jackie gasped without wonder, for stretching out his arm, from stretching in front of him, was an incredible island of mountains and coral and magic. There were fat, hardy trees with friendly faces, whose leaves of russet and gold-shaded great flocks of wild flowers with happy faces, a warm sandy beach, a pure white slope which sloped down and embraced a calm and crystal sea of the purest blue. Squatting on the horizon was a smiling sun, casting its golden warmth onto the population of birds, the butterflies, and animals, both mundane and mythological. Jackie recognized a pink rabbit and a unicorn colt. Through the center drifted a gentle stream, from which sweet mist roses hung lazily and glistened all afternoon. It was a place that was so wonderful, a land of peace and a land of joy. Oh, Puff, it's beautiful. Is it far away? As far as your fondest hope, and hopefully as near as your sweetest dream. He took Jackie by the hand. Come along. We'll build a boat. Jackie pulled back. I'm afraid. Puff smiled. Well, isn't everybody? He knelt down and spoke to the paper's child gently. Ah, Jackie, that's why I want you to visit Hanalei. The climate there causes fear to shrivel up and makes it as useless as last year's calendar. But Puff, we've got to get there first, and I'm afraid of the sea. Puff looked at Jackie, kind of concerned. Then he walked over to the window and pulled down the shade. He held out his crayon to the little boy and said, I want you to draw a picture of the sea on this window shade. Okay, but I warn you, it's going to be a scary sea. He began to draw a terrifying picture of the sea. It was more like a nightmare than a drawing. There were great waves and storms and lightning flashes and shipwrecks. There were sharks and octopuses. And worst of all, a terrible, giant, ugly pirate. Well, no wonder you're frightened, said Puff. I suppose the sea can be that way. But if you look through my dragon smoke, I'll show you how it might be. And he puffed another colorful ring which floated up to Jackie's window, just in front of the shade that they just drew. And it changed that ugly sea into a lovely, calm, blue sea, sparkling with all its glory from the sun. Jackie came over to the dragon. He hesitated for an instant. Then impulsively, he braced him. I like you, Puff, he said. Let's build a boat. With what? Asked the dragon. I've got stuff. All kinds of stuff. He rushed over to his little toy box and dumped its contents onto the floor. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Jackie got a great idea. Jackie got a great idea, he cried out. Hey, we can use my bed as the hull. Magnificent, roared Puff. We'll cross the ocean on a magical boat, he sang. And Jackie sang, we'll make the mast out of my bedpost. Let's make the rudder out of my guitar and sail across the water. In no more time than it took to sing the words, they had built themselves the finest boat they could ever wish for. They hopped aboard and sailed off into the beautiful sea. Painted on the wall of the shade, they were on their way to Hanalei at last. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Hanalei. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Hopefully you're asleep by now. But I want your soul to know that I love you. Don't ever think that you're alone in the world. I love you very much. I want you to wake up with a smile. Good night.